Nicko McBrain left the band, as we all know, left Iron Maiden. And it's very sad because, he was my favorite drummer of all time. But at the same time, it's understandable, and I think it's the right time. As we know, he had some health issues, and he deserves to enjoy life as well, to go on holidays and so on, without having to be committed to the schedule of the tour for the rest of his life. However, I do think that at this point, the entire band should retire because, you know, Nicko McBrain is an irreplaceable drummer, irreplaceable individual, and no drummer can replace him. He has a unique style that really cannot be imitated. Like this kind of style, and like for example, I don't know where Eagles there, all of these things, are not so obvious for any other drummer, right? So it's not like about finding the best drummer in the world that's going to replace Nicko McBrain Iron Maiden. It's about finding the drummer with the right vibe for Iron Maiden, which I think is impossible to find because you can look at all the covers in the world. You can go on YouTube, get lost looking at covers, and nobody ever gets it right? Songs like Ancient Mariner. You know, all of these things cannot be imitated by anybody else. When Clive Burr left the band, Nico replaced him, right? But Nico, being the great drummer that he is, he was able to make it work. He was able to learn kind of what Clive was doing, and then Nico took it to the next level. And in some ways, they were both very similar drummers. They were both coming from like the same influences, I believe. Clive was very creative. He knew how to kind of make these nice intros and very signature like intros that you can just hear that drum beat and you know what song it is, right? And I believe that Nico kind of learned from that, and he was able to take the band to the next level with more energy, more drive. And why this is important is because Iron Maiden is not exactly like the hardest music ever. It's not exactly the most complicated or anything like this. It's like extremely important for the music to have the right feel, right? And this an example that happened in Iron Maiden was like when Adrian Smith left the band, Yannick Gers had to take over his spot, right? But a lot of the songs that they used to play did no longer sound the same, right? Like 2 Minutes to Midnight, the intro, right? When Yannick played it, it sounded completely different. It was like, and these things are very important because when you have a style of music that is not too complicated, like rock and roll, heavy metal, you change some of these notes, you change some of the feel, it automatically removes the magic of the riff, of the tune, of the style. So I really think that they really have to, I don't know, get the right drummer, which I think will not happen, and or retire overall. Now, who do I think who will replace Nicko McBrain? Because obviously, I think the mistake here was organizing this whole huge tour in 2025 to celebrate the 50 years of Iron Maiden, which I think is kind of crazy that they're going to do this without Nicko McBrain, right? So I think that they should have not booked the entire tour, made all the people buy all of the tickets before he left the band. I think that's kind of sketchy to do as a band. Like they knew Nico was going to leave, right? And they still announced all the tour dates so people would buy the tickets. Because I think Rod Smallwood and these kind of guys are kind of, Andy Taylor, they're kind of greedy. They really love money, right? And so who will replace Nicko McBrain? Well, people keep saying this Joel Lazarus guy will join the band. And don't get me wrong, he's a good drummer, right? He's a good drummer, but he doesn't have the right feel. If you listen to his covers, yeah, he will get the band through. He will get the band from A to Z, right? A to Z. He will get the right tempos, and he will do the tour. He will do the gigs and so on and so on. But if you look at the covers, if you listen to them, you will see that he doesn't have the right feel. He kind of plays the fills, right, as any other drummer would do. He doesn't really do any of these stylistic things that Nicko excelled at. The right feel of the songs. Sure, he will play the bass drum, he will do the galloping, all of that, but it's not the same, and he doesn't really have the maturity that you see in a drummer like Nicko or an older kind of guy. On another heavy metal legend, say for example, you look at guys from Judas Priest, right? You look at the drummer Travis, you see the maturity in his playing, like the confidence, right? And I look at Joe and I'm like, yeah, like you play nice, but it's not really, you're gonna go to big stages and you're gonna take over all these arenas and stuff, and it's not really the same. Uh, and for mating connoisseurs, right, you can tell right away that type of drumming is extremely important. It's extremely, uh, it's the key. He's the engine of Iron Maiden, right? Because the guitars are not exactly complicated, nothing like that. Listen to the tracks, the individual guitar tracks of each song of the guitar tracks, and you will see that it's nothing really. It's nothing like insane. Most of Iron Maiden is the drumming, right? That's the key that drives the whole band. So who do I think should replace Nicko? Well, two names come to mind, two names that I really admire, really, and I think they have the right feel for Iron Maiden, the right technique, the right style, the right attitude and maturity. Okay, and two drummers are Mickey D, and who you know from King Diamond and all of this. And if you listen to his drumming, you will realize that it's actually kind of similar to Nicko McBrain's. He has the right style, and even some of the fills are kind of the same, and you can tell they're kind of very correlated, both of them. And the other drummer is Patrick Johansson from he used to play in Yngwie Malmsteen for a while. So he also has this kind of maturity, this kind of feel. He does play with two bass drums, so you know it's a little bit different that way. But he still has this playfulness to it, the same vibe as Nicko, right? So I think Mickey D, he has like other commitments and so on, but I really think they should try to get him because he's the only guy that really understands the style that's at that mature kind of level, and also Patrick Johansson. So yeah, with that being said, I really think Iron Maiden should really think about this before making a mistake again, like we did with Blaze Bailey, who really did not fit the style, and they got him anyways. And and they really have to sit down with the drummer and be like, "Yo, you gotta get the style right. You gotta get the style right, and like all of the fills and everything." Sure, he's not gonna imitate Nicko McBrain because Nicko McBrain is unique, but at the same time, I really think they should put some effort into getting the right guy that's gonna enhance the band, and it's not gonna be just like some guy in the back who's like 24 years old, who has like no maturity on the arena stage kind of thing, and really does not have much experience as Nicko. So I really think it's important, especially if they're gonna go on this huge world tour in a few months or something like that, and they made all the people buy the tickets already. So yeah, those are my thoughts, and hopefully they get a good drummer.